What's up? Welcome back to KT Confidential. This is episode 217. And today, Ariel and I are discussing the pros and cons to renting HVAC equipment. And we've got some horror stories where homeowners forgot to disclose their rental equipment. And we'll tell you what happened. Enjoy.
Howdy.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm in a good mood. Happy to be here.
You're in a good mood? Awesome.
Don't act like that's
What did you do this morning that put you into a good mood, Adrian?
Nothing. Our meeting was productive.
Yes, we had a great meeting with the media team.
I enjoy starting the day off being productive.
Yes.
That's why I always make my bed. Actually, today, I didn't make my bed today. Alicia and I have a rule. Last one out of bed makes the bed. I was last out of bed. I didn't make it because I was running late and I forgot to do it.
What time did you wake up?
No, I just didn't make it before I left the house. I woke up. I did wake up late today. It was like 7:30, which is later than
usual. You
usual.
usually make it on your way out of the house before you leave.
Yes. Anyways.
You go, you get dressed, you do all that, you make the bed, you go to work.
Correct.
Got it.
But yeah, good meeting. Good podcast topic. Important, relevant. So today we're talking about rental equipment. I'm not going to say HVAC because we don't know for sure if all of the equipment we're talking about falls into that
rental items around the house.
Rental items around the house. Most commonly, furnace, AC, water heater, water softeners are common. And it seems like by the day, new equipment is popping up.
Well, now,
yeah,
even thermostats.
Yes.
They're being bundled in. Security features, Ring doorbells or different kind of video doorbells.
It wouldn't surprise me if
you can rent
appliances go that way.
Right.
Any big expense that may be challenging for somebody to pay out of pocket for.
When me and my family, when we first moved to Las Vegas and we had nothing, moved there with nothing. We actually rented. We weren't sure if we were staying there. It was like a 6-month plan.
Okay.
Everything we owned was rented.
Furniture.
Everything.
Right.
Like even the fucking furniture linens.
Right. They didn't have Airbnb then.
No.
Right.
They just had Las Vegas hotel rooms down the Las Vegas Strip, but we rented a condo off Strip far. Well, now it's considered close to the Strip in Summerlin. But anyway, question number 1. I'll ask, you answer.
Okay.
Should I rent my hot water tank?
I have no definitive answer, but generally I would say no. You should buy it. And I say that from my experience. I've been in my house for 11 years. I've paid about $5,000 in rental for my water heater.
Yep. It's about $40 a month.
Yes. Whereas if I had have purchased one, especially back then, if I had bought one back then, the fairly basic water heater probably would have cost $1,000 to $1,500 plus installation, which maybe another $1,000. So say $2,500.
Funny you should say that because I printed this right here. This would be a good comparable. Your hot water tank is similar to mine.
Yeah. Do you know how big yours is?
50 gallon.
Okay.
This is a 50 gallon high performance ream tank, 40,000 BTU with a 12-year warranty.
Right.
And a lot of people don't know that a lot of insurance companies now, after your hot water tank is 12 years old, they will not insure any damage that's created by that water tank.
And there's probably
$1,500.
Right.
$1,500. So you spent in the last 12 years.
I don't know how much it would cost to get installed. I was probably high at $1,000. I'm guessing.
Yeah, you're definitely high, but maybe to dispose of the old one, bring the new one in, hook it all up. You need gas and water. So
I've paid twice as much as I would have.
Yes. Now the only benefit to renting is that if something goes wrong, they'll repair it.
Yes, but as with any warranty, I'm not a big fan of warranties. I've not made any claims on my water heater that were covered.
So the answer to my question, Should I rent my hot water tank?
No.
Leads us to the next question. What happens if I forget to disclose that my water heater is a rental when selling my house?
That's a big mistake. And, well, I've got 2 instances recently where that happened. I was representing the buyer in both scenarios. The listings had 0 rental items listed. The agreement, the offer I sent in had the word none listed under rental items, and it was purchased under the assumption that there were no rental items. Later on, the seller came back to us and said, "Oh, we forgot the water heater's a rental." And they tried to get us to agree to it, but my clients in both scenarios didn't want to, understandably, and the seller had to buy out the water heater rental, which in both scenarios, one time cost $5,000, the other time $6,000. So big mistake. Have you ever had that happen?
Yeah. I have had it happen where I did it intentionally in the offer because the listing agent did not correctly list it. They knew it was a rental all along. Everybody knew it was a rental. I knew it was a rental. My buyers knew it was a rental. The listing agent knew it was a rental. The sellers knew it was a rental. Everybody knew.
Well, mine was intentional too. I just didn't want to mention it because then people question my ethics.
Hey, you're doing the best you can to represent your client.
I agree.
It's not your fault the other agent is a moron.
I agree 100%.
So, yeah. So, same story. It wasn't listed anywhere. We didn't list it in the agreement of purchase and sale, which made our buyers not liable for the rental. If it's not listed in the agreement of purchase and sale, it means it's a fixture that's included with the sale.
Right.
So, yeah, I didn't put it in. They didn't catch it. We got a free hot water tank.
Yeah. And the water heater,
But that can go for other things too. Security systems, air conditioner, furnace. Like you have to be so diligent as a listing agent now to identify are there rental items?
Or contracts.
Or contracts, solar systems. And B, is it transferable? C, how much is it? Not only, maybe you want to find out how much it is for sure you want to find out how much it is per month, but how much is it to break it?
Right.
What if something goes wrong? Is it covered? Is there any other expenses to expect? Got to do your due diligence.
Now, you wanted to talk about this. How do you feel about the service plans offered by utility companies?
Great question. So I did a bit of printing today. Considering we're sponsors of Tree Canada, I was wasting some trees today. So here's something interesting. I saw somebody, an elderly lady, post something that she had a plan that covered even her electrical. So Reliance, which is a company that's well known.
You mean the whole house?
Just let me finish.
Like CAA for the house?
Basically.
Okay.
So Reliance Home Comfort, it's a well-known company here in Ontario. I don't know if they're
all
nationwide.
Yeah,
are they?
Yeah.
They are the supplier for my hot water tank, as I'm sure they are for yours. And they supply a lot of stuff for a lot of homes. If you go onto their website, they have what's called a maintenance and protection plan for your heating system, for your cooling system, for all season comfort, for your plumbing, and for your electrical. And then they break it down. They have a great menu option. Talk about menu selling. All the way up to $50 a month. And $50 a month, and I don't even know. I didn't dive in completely because now that I see this, it doesn't look like that covers electrical. But basically, you can have what you called CAA for your house. So
here's the problem. This is why I hate warranties. What's covered?
Most parts and labor.
What a joke.
With the asterisk there, and then and then the asterisk takes you to nowhere.
Right.
Doesn't even tell you.
So 51% of the components are covered, potentially.
Yeah. Basically, they are going to cover the least likely components to break down, I'm assuming. And if they do include anything, it's a cheap repair. Like, okay, so there's a maintenance plan for your hot water tank, let's just say, for $10 a month. That's $120 a year. You own that hot water tank 10 years and have that maintenance plan on it 10 years. You're paying $1,200 in your maintenance plan.
It's almost the price of
almost the price to replace the entire tank.
Right.
Now, through all of the homes that I've owned personally, and through all of the homes that I've been involved with in purchasing or selling on behalf of clients, I think the most expensive repair on a hot water tank that I've ever encountered was like $300.
What was it?
Some valve.
You're not talking about the, I can't remember what it's called right now. The valve that regulates the hot water above the tank?
I don't know.
Why can't I think of the name of it? There's a valve over the hot water tank that's attached to the hot water line that comes out, and it
regulates the
temperature by introducing cold water as well, because they don't want it to go above a certain temperature and scald your kids at the tap. We just had this a week ago. We were talking about it.
Oh, geez.
Hot water regulation valve. Is that what you're talking about?
No.
Okay. Because that's not covered. That's the reason I was asking.
Right. Because that's part of your plumbing, technically.
Correct.
There's nothing to a hot water tank. What is it's a tank with water in it that has a boiler of some kind that heats up the water. So what the fuck can go wrong with it?
Well, they're
pardon my French.
So there is something to apparently, I've never done it in 11 years.
That was past 30 seconds, Ian, so we're good.
But there is something to emptying it every now and then, perhaps annually.
Why, for calcium buildup?
Yeah. Anyways, that's all I know.
So if you empty it, calcium's still in there.
No, you'll wash some of it out. They'll reduce the amount that's in there.
Technically, you can have a big bath and empty it.
I don't get it.
You never had a long bath where you empty out all the hot water?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Okay. Technically, you're emptying it all the fucking time.
I guess so. That's a good point. I have no idea. Anyways, I have a story about a client who was living in our neighborhood, and 2 years, the house was 2 years at the time, his furnace broke in the middle of the winter, and somehow he got connected with a really good salesperson, because this salesperson, who worked for Reliance, convinced them to replace their furnace, their 2-year-old furnace, with a brand new one.
2-year-old furnace?
2-year-old furnace.
Okay.
Replace their furnace and their air conditioning, because it was a package deal, with rental equipment. So fast forward 3 years. So this is now 5 years. They had this 3-year-old rental equipment in their home. They were selling. And at that time, I was like, listen, like there's virtually no other homes on the market, or literally no other homes on the market that you're competing against that have this added expense monthly.
This was at the height of the seller's market, obviously.
Yeah. I'm like, you've got I think it was $250 a month they were paying for the water heater, the AC, and the furnace. And I'm like, that's
just to put that into perspective, $250 a month is like 50 grand on your mortgage.
Right. It's significant. So, I explained it all to them, and I said, just so you're aware, we're going to try and sell the house and negotiate it into the deal. But it is something.
Negotiate that the buyer takes over.
Correct.
Yes.
But at the time, all the offers coming in, they were all trying to negotiate it out of the deal because every other house they could go buy didn't have this added expense. So it was a big deterrent, and it was it implicated the sale to a degree.
Did the seller have a reason for why they ended up renting the furnace and AC?
Literally, they got stuck with a salesperson that was smarter than them and persuaded them that rental was the right way to go.
Okay.
So
what scenarios, here's a question for you. What scenarios, if any, would you recommend that somebody rent their furnace and AC?
If you have no other options and that's it, you're better to put it on a line of credit. You're better to borrow money from family. It should be a last resort.
At those prices, you're better to put it on a credit card.
Well, I don't know about that.
Depending on your credit card spending habits.
Exactly. No, I would say renting should be your last resort.
What if it's a rental property?
Whatever. Then I would rent it. It's a good question. I would rent it because we always have the tenant pay for it. So why would you have that added expense?
What if the tenant wasn't paying for it? Because I don't think that's a good marketing ploy, and I don't think most tenants expect to pay for...
I always have tenants pay for it.
For what?
The water heater rental.
I'm talking furnace and AC.
Oh, sorry. I think it's less important at that point because it's an expense. You can write it off. So I'd say in that case, you might be better just to purchase the thing in full because then you get the full write-off that year.
Well, not necessarily, because that's a depreciable. So that's a depreciable.
Okay. I don't know. We need an accountant to advise.
Well, there you go. If you're an accountant and want to be on the podcast,
yeah.
Leave a comment.
To pay out that equipment, it was upwards of $15,000.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and on that note, if you have something as simple as a hot water tank, that's the most common in our industry, in our area, in our geographical area of where we trade real estate. It's very, very common that, especially the newer homes, anything kind of 15 years and newer, maybe even a bit older than that, have a hot water tank that's a rental. How many times has somebody bought it out? Hardly ever. Why? Because of the cost. You try and buy out a hot water tank that's rented, even if it's a 10-year-old tank, you call them up and it's like, oh yeah, that's...
I'd like to know because
$3,500.
Well, our homes, our water heaters are approaching that 12-year mark where we need... It'd be smart to replace them.
Well, it's going to have to be. Otherwise, you won't have insurance coverage.
Right. So we have to replace
a finished
them.
Basement.
So when I call Reliance
if your hot water tank leaks in your finished basement and ruins all of your floors.
I've got subfloor, so hopefully that helps.
Well, some of us don't.
Anyways, I'll have to come back and post something about it because I've been looking into or thinking of it. I haven't been looking into it, but I have been thinking about replacing it. So I'll find out what the cost at this point, 12 years later, will be.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because monthly payments is becoming more acceptable in society for everything. For, people don't expect to own their house anymore. They just say, okay, well, what's my monthly expense?
Every company right now is focused on recurring revenues.
Sure. Yeah. Because it's an easier sell. It's like when we were in the automotive industry. Don't say it. We were in the automotive industry. We were trained to sell lease payments. And then when bi-weekly or semi-monthly options were available, that was our new focus. Because
you want the warranty with that, Mr. Trott? It's an extra $4 a week.
Right? It's an easy sell. And that's what everyone's going to.
Less than a cup of coffee a day.
And the problem with it is that most people...
That's when coffee was less than $1.
Most people forget what they're paying for. They don't even know they have monthly expenses coming out.
That's why when you try and unsubscribe from one of those beautiful apps that you subscribe to with the free trial, and you try and figure out how to unsubscribe, and they take you all down all these paths, and you
30 menus.
Yeah. Nope, they want to get you. And that's why these protection plans have really come into play with some of these rental companies. Now, having said that, if you are retired, you're not in the best of health, your family might be distanced. They're
like geographically?
Yeah. Or they haven't abandoned you. Yeah. They've just moved away to other geographical areas. So they're not close by.
Yeah.
And you want just peace of mind that you don't have to source your own plumber and that you're going to get screwed by the plumber and whatever. Not to put plumbers down. I'm just saying whoever you got to. By the way, if you need a good plumber, we'll refer you to one. Pro Results, they're doing a great job for the team. But to pay $40 or $50 a month for their peace of mind might be beneficial if you don't want to deal with the stuff that happens.
Yeah, there's a time and place and product for everybody.
Got no heat. So, you know who you're calling. You're covered. And hopefully, cross your toes that the parts will be included.
Well, while I sit here and say, no, you shouldn't rent your equipment, for some people it makes sense to because it's just maybe makes more, it's the only feasible solution. And in that case, it's a great product that's available for people that need it. But
you see like their heating and cooling plan covers your HVAC. It's got plumbing, some plumbing protection. There's no pre-inspection needed. So if you have existing equipment, they'll cover that. Live telephone support 24/7, unlimited service calls, no deductible, no annual claims limit. So I don't have the full details, but that's $40 a month. So how many things do you spend $30-$40 a month on? So if you need that peace of mind, or you might be the child of an elderly parent and you don't want them calling you saying, my furnace broke down and I don't know who to call. And now you're running around trying to get it fixed for them. So having the peace of mind for something like that, it's not for everybody. I would never pay to have this kind of protection myself, because if something goes wrong, it's an unexpected expense, yes, but the chances of it being more expensive than that is very slim.
But as it relates to real estate and buying and selling, if you're a homeowner planning to sell, let's say, and your equipment fails, should you buy or rent? And in that scenario, I would say follow the industry norm. So if it's typical that rental water heaters are expected in a house by a buyer, rent the water heater, because there's no sense in paying for it outright. You're not going to get that money back when you sell in a month. If it's expected that the furnace and air conditioner are owned, you're probably better to buy that equipment.
Yep.
Because you're going to turn off a lot of buyers. I've had agents tell me that they would not look at a house that had a water heater, a furnace rental. And it wasn't even as like just
what scares people off.
Flat, I wouldn't look at it.
It's like, why do people not want to buy condos? Oh, I don't want to deal with the condo fees.
Right.
Well, if you have a rental of $250 a month, in your example with the furnace and the AC, $250 a month is like having a condo fee.
Right.
So anyway, good chat. If you have any comments, if you're watching, listening, let us know.
Or live.
Yeah, we're live. I forgot we're live. Any experiences, good, bad, or other, with renting any of those products?
And, we always appreciate stories.
Yeah.
And your opinion. I mean,
and I want to hear from people that have protection plans that I know have people that actually used them.
I think there's people that like warranties. I'll categorize them as warranties. There's people that like warranties and people that don't.
Yeah. Same thing with insurance.
And I don't think you'll convince either that the other way is the right way to go.
Right.
So
you bought a new TV recently. Did you get the warranty on it?
That's a great question, because I usually don't get warranties.
But you did?
But no, listen, I got it for free.
Oh, a salesman convinced you.
No, I convinced the salesman. What are you talking about? They didn't want to include it, but I negotiated it into the price.
Right. So you could have bought the TV for a couple $100 less.
No, it was already the discounted price. So
right. The discounted from what?
It was already $200 off, and that was the best price around. I checked everywhere, but there was one place offering it at $200 off, plus their 2-year store warranty. And I said, well...
Oh, it's a store warranty.
Yeah.
Not a manufacturer's
warranty. That was 2001
warranty.
audio video. I was at Best Buy. Best Buy warranty is actually quite good.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people that have done well with them. So I convinced Best Buy. I said, okay, well, your price is actually $1 less. Just, I don't know, that's how they priced it. But I said, but I want the same warranty. Otherwise, I could just go get that 2-year peace of mind there. And they agreed to. But normally I don't. The only thing I do, I always get Apple Care.
Yes, for your phone.
Yes.
Did you get it for your MacBook?
No.
Right.
Because
I always get it for my phone too.
I
literally have thrown it in the lake just to go and get a new one after almost 2 years when it comes up there.
Yeah.
And you pay the extra... I think they charge $200 on these phones, maybe more to get
something like that.
You go in, get a new one for $200. I get it. I put it aside, and that's what I sell.
Well, we got it on the girls' laptop or iPads, and one of the screens that fell out of the truck on our way up north last year rather, because it's now 23, and it smashed the screen. So we were able to claim that. So for things like that, I'm okay with electronics, but.
Well, his furnace has some electronic components.
But now specifically for things that get carried around everywhere with you, you're likely to drop it, lose it, run over it. Okay. Again, see, I'm not going to convince people. You either want it or you don't want it. But from my experience, that's what I have to say.
Well,
thanks for listening or watching.
See you next week.
Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this episode. If you have any comments or suggestions on new topics that you'd like us to discuss about real estate, let us know by dropping a comment. Make sure you subscribe. New episode coming out next Monday.